causes and effects. Introduction. The word pollution is derived from the Latin word polluere, which means to soil or defile. Any addition to air, water, soil, or food that threatens the health, survival capabilities, or activities of humans or other living organisms is called pollution. Odum in 1971 defined pollution classically as: pollution is an undesirable change in the physical, chemical, or biological characteristics of air, water, and soil or land that may or will harmfully affect human life or other living organisms or create a potential health hazard to any living organisms. Pollution affects everything like air, rivers, soil, sea, etc. What is pollution? We humans are a unique species. We live in most of the ecosystems of the world, adapting and changing our habitats to suit us rather than adapting ourselves to the species. Our behavior affects the environment on global level due to the addition or release of various undesirable substances. Release of undesirable or potentially harmful substances in the environment is called pollution. Pollution can be defined as an undesirable change in the physical, chemical, or biological segments of our environment caused by the excessive accumulation of substances potentially harmful to humans, plants, and animals. What are pollutants? The substances whose excessive accumulation in air, water, or soil causes harmful effects are called pollutants. The pollutants may be natural or anthropogenic, that is, man-made. Natural pollutants are released by natural processes such as volcanic eruptions, forest fires, dust storms, and flood. Anthropogenic or man-made pollutants are generated by human activities, willingly or unwillingly, such as large-scale industrialization, deforestation, expanding urbanization, agricultural practices, and transportation and increasing mining activities. These are major causes of man-made pollution. The harm caused by natural events is insignificant as compared to man-made contributions, which have emerged as a big threat to very existence of life on the planet.
Water pollution. Water is an important natural resource. Water is a very important natural resource. It covers 71% of the Earth's surface. About 97% of the total water on the Earth is found in oceans. It is salty and is unfit for human consumption. 2% of total water available is trapped in glaciers and polar ice caps. Less than 1% of fresh water is usable and is found in the lakes, rivers, streams, and ponds. It is also present under the surface of Earth as groundwater. Seawater as origin of life. It is believed with a fair degree of scientific accuracy that life originated in seawater billions of years ago in the form of single-celled organisms called blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. Over a long period of time, this unicellular organism evolved to form multicellular organisms. This process of evolution is continuous. The present-day plants and animals on the land or sea have evolved originally from the unicellular microorganisms. Water pollution and pollutants. The introduction of chemical, physical, or biological materials that degrades the quality of fresh water or seawater such that it is harmful to organisms living in it or consuming it is called water pollution. The chemicals, physical or biological materials that degrade the quality of fresh water or seawater are called water pollutants. Major water pollutants. Some major water pollutants, their effects and sources. Pollutant number 1, pH acidity. Effect: increases acidity, damages plants and animals. Urban sources are atmospheric deposits or erosion of roofing material. Number 2, microorganism. Effect is it contains bacteria and virus in large number which can cause illness. Urban sources are sewer overflows, animal feces. Next is toxic organics. Effect is it can poison living organisms or damage their life processes. The sources are spillage, illegal discharges, pesticides, herbicides. Next, heavy metals. Effect: produces poison in living organisms present in the environment for a long time. Urban sources are vehicle wear, septic tank leaks, weathering of buildings. Next, cross pollutants, that is litter debris. Effect is animals can eat and choke on this material. Urban sources are pedestrians and vehicles, waste collection systems, leaf falls from trees, spills and accidents, lawn clippings. Next, oils, detergents and shampoos. Effect is highly toxic pollutant to fish and other aquatic life. Urban sources are asphalt pavements, leaks from vehicles, car washing, organic matter. Next, increased water temperature. Effects: high temperature is harmful to fish and other aquatic organisms. It stimulates the growth of nuisance plants and algae. Sources are water from power plants and industrial manufacturers. Next, sediments. Effect: reduce the amount of light and water available for plant growth. Damage sensitive tissues. Sources are land surface erosion, organic, that is carbon compounds matter, construction sites, atmospheric deposition. Next, nutrients. Effect: increase of nutrients in water, stimulates excessive growth of aquatic seeds of algae that may choke lakes. Sources are fertilizers, organic matter, animal feces, detergents. Lastly, oxygen-demanding substances. Effect: oxygen is used up more quickly than it can dissolve in the water from the atmosphere. This drop may kill fish and other aquatic organisms. Sources are organic matter decay, sewer overflows, septic tank leaks, spillage, illegal discharges, animal feces. Causes of water pollution. Number 1. Domestic waste. Domestic waste in the form of sewage is one of the major sources of water pollution. It is generated from household activities like washing products, waste food, and a lot of other domestic items. Domestic waste pollutes water with germs. Disease-causing agents like bacteria, viruses, and parasitic worms enter the water from domestic sewage and animal waste. They cause waterborne diseases, some of which can be fatal. Contamination of fresh water and shallow offshore seas by domestic sewage is a common occurrence. The addition of organic materials such as sewage enhance the oxygen consumption by the decomposers. The impact of these wastes on water quality decreases the oxygen content in water, and there arises a need of oxygen, which is called the biological oxygen demand, that is BOD. Household detergents and other chemicals, when present in water, can act as toxic poison for plants, animals, and humans. They can even cause skin disorders in humans. Industrial effluents. Industrial effluents are the most hazardous of all water pollutants. Most Indian rivers passing through major cities and industrial areas are heavily polluted by the discharge of industrial effluents in them. These include toxic metals such as lead, mercury, zinc, copper, chromium, and cadmium, non-metals like arsenic, and numerous petrochemicals like benzene, polyvinyl chloride, and gamexene, acids, alkalis, cellulose fibers, coloring and bleaching materials. Most Indian rivers are heavily polluted by these industrial effluents. Agricultural waste. The surface runoff from agricultural land carries a heavy load of fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, manures, and other agrochemicals with it. These pollutants ultimately reach natural water bodies and pollute them. Rainwater, which flows through agricultural lands, grazing lands, or abandoned mines, also carries a load of pollutants. Mining waste. There are hundreds of mines in India alone and thousands in the world which extract copper, silver, gold, zinc, iron, coal, etc. Huge quantities of waste are produced while processing them. Such waste is usually called mine tailing or the leftover. The mine tailing mixed with other materials can be used for making tiles, masonry, cement, etc.
Dyes. Dyes are widely used in printing, painting, and coloring industries. These dyes find their way into the streams through discharge of effluents, especially from the printing and dyeing industry. These effluents contain metals like lead, iron, chromium, and nickel. They not only impart unusual color to water, but are very harmful for living organisms. Toxic metals. Pollution of sea by metallic pollutants occurs through dumping or discharge of industrial and domestic effluents or from the polluted rivers. Metals are considered indestructible poisons. Their dispersion in seas over a long period of time may be highly dangerous as they affect the marine animals and plants.
Offshore and oil drilling. Oil and oil waste enter rivers and other water bodies from several sources like oil refineries, storage tanks, automobile waste, petrochemical plants, and industrial effluents. Normal tanker operations and spilling from oil tanker may cause certain accidents that may be responsible for marine pollution and shore contamination. Beside the super tankers, offshore drilling operations contribute a large share of pollution. One estimate is that 1 ton of oil is spilled for every million tons of oil transported. Oil may be driven to shores through wind and tides where it gets accumulated and possess aesthetic problems. Thermal pollution. Thermal pollution is the rise or fall in the temperature of a natural body of water caused by human influence. Elevated water temperatures decreases oxygen levels, which can kill fish and affects ecosystem composition, such as invasion by new thermophilic species. Urban runoff may also elevate temperature in surface waters. Treatment of wastewater. Proper collection and disposal of domestic sewage. A. Separate septic tanks should be used by each house. This will reduce the flow of municipal sewage and human excreta towards rivers, lakes, and pools. B. Rivers and lakes should not be used for bathing and washing purposes. C. Treatment of domestic sewage for industrial cooling is a good example of efficient use. Water reuse has special significance in mining and similar industries. These efforts will save fresh water from being polluted. Treatment of industrial waste to yield safe effluents. Wastewater treatment techniques should be applied before the polluted water enters a river or lake. Wastewater treatment processes can be physical, chemical, or biological. Physical processes comprise screening, sedimentation, flotation, and filtration. Chemical processes are precipitation, coagulation, and disinfection. Biological processes are biological filtration and the activated sludge process. In particular cases, the processes such as carbon absorption, oxidation and reduction, electrolysis, etc. are used. Purification of water. International standard for drinking water. The maximum recommended levels of some common metals are: zinc is 5.0 ppm, that is parts per million. Iron is 0.2 ppm. Manganese is 0.05 ppm. Copper is 3.0 ppm. Cadmium is 0.05 ppm. And aluminium is 0.2 ppm. Name of component, safe limit in ppm, that is parts per million. Adverse effects when safety limit is crossed. First is lead, 0.001 ppm. Effect of limit crossed is damage to brain, kidneys, liver, and nervous system. Fluoride, 1 to 10 ppm. If limits crossed, effects are harmful to teeth and bones. Sulfate, 500 ppm. If the limit is crossed, it has laxative effect. Nitrate, 50 ppm. If the limit is crossed, the effect is disease called methemoglobinemia. Impurities in natural water. Natural water is impure and it usually contains three kinds of impurities, namely A. Suspended impurities, which can be seen with the naked eye and can be removed by filtration. B. Dissolved impurities, which cannot be seen with the naked eye but can be removed by distillation. C. Bacterial impurities, which cannot be seen with the naked eye but can be destroyed by germicide such as chlorine. Hence, natural water has to be purified. Drinking water should be free from number 1. All suspended impurities. Number 2. Disease-producing bacteria. Purification of drinking water. Purification of drinking water is done at the following 4 stages. Number 1. Water from a river or a lake is brought through canals or long pipes to the waterworks, where it is mixed with required quantities of alum and soda lime solutions. These substances react with one another to form aluminium hydroxide, a jelly-like sticky solid. Number 2. It is then pumped into big settling tanks where most of the suspended impurities settle down in 2 or 3 days. Number 3. The clear water still containing some suspended matter is passed through successive filters of boulders, gravel, coarse sand and fine sand. Number 4. The clear water from the filters is chlorinated and then passed to the reservoirs of distribution in the city. Purification of water by distillation. The process of converting a liquid into vapor by heating and the subsequent condensation of the vapor back into a liquid is called distillation. This method is used to remove dissolved impurities from water. The water so obtained is called distilled water. It is the purest form of water. Impure water is kept in the distilling flask and boiled. Water turns into steam and passes through the Liebig condenser. Steam, on coming in contact with the cooler parts of the condenser, condenses water and gets collected as distillate or distilled water in the receiver. The dissolved impurities remain in the flask. Therefore, by this process, both the dissolved solids and water are recovered. Effects of water pollution. Number 1. The water polluted by sewage or dead animals, etc. can cause serious diseases like dysentery, cholera, typhoid, etc. Number 2. The polluted water is unfit for growing crops and the pollutants find their way in food chain, which is very harmful to human beings and animals. Number 3. The polluted water results in the death of vast amount of fish and other water animals. Control of water pollution. Number 1. The people should be made aware through meetings, TV, newspapers of the harm created by the polluted water. They should be educated to not to pollute any water body such as stream, lake or river. Number 2. The sewage should be first treated to remove pollutants from it before it is discharged in the streams or rivers. Number 3. The effluents coming from industrial plants should be properly treated before discharging them in the streams or rivers. Number 4. The dung produced by farm animals should be converted into manure by biogas plants and not discharged in the streams or rivers. Number 5. There should be very heavy fines for the people who knowingly pollute water bodies.